Welcome back and thanks for joining. We have the big one today. We are in Auburn Hills, Michigan for the 57th annual Debates-Devos Pro-Am Memorial Bicycle Race, presented by ours truly, the Kaju Bicycle Club. This is a big one and kind of the big one in terms of Criterium races for a couple of reasons. The first one being that this is our race that we host, so if you're going to look to win a race, it probably should be the one that your team is hosting. Additionally, sort of like the M1 being my last race as a Cat 4, kind of realistically looking at this being the end of the season and kind of going into next season, this probably will be the last major race I can do as a Cat 3. And so, before moving up to Cat 2 and having to do all of the Pro 1-2 races, it'd be nice to win the Cat 3 race, certainly. And finally, and really the most important one, this is the Michigan State Championship. And so, in terms of being, title and given that title of state champion, it's really kind of the one you want to win. So, and then finally, I guess the last reason just being this is the final race of the year. There's one more Waterford after this, but this really is going to be the last Criterium race of the season. So, really looking to go out with a bang. And so I've been doing all of my building for training and my tapering over the last couple of weeks, really in aim of being in peak shape for this race specifically. So super excited to get after it. A lot of really great riders joining this one. Obviously it's a slightly smaller field than we've had in some other races. Only 21 people starting because it is specifically a Cat 3. We've seen 1, 2, 3 races. We've seen 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. This is just Cat 3, so with kind of the road scene being what it is, not going to have a ton of people certainly in this race, but all of the teams and most of the riders we've seen are here. Just kind of thinking through some of the previous races, right? The team from Ann Arbor who had won the M1 3, 4, 5 race, those guys are here with an additional teammate. Certainly with Base Media and Kyle just running away from me in the final sprint at Zealand a week ago, he's here with the team. But Morning Cranks is here with the team. Everyone kind of who matters certainly. They're all here, right? And so this is gonna be a tough race. In a race with teams, not just individuals racing. And so really excited for this one. I have high hopes. I'm feeling good. I'm ready to go. I want to win. I think I can. And the key is going to be just to see how this race unfolds, and just make sure you're there when it matters. So, all right, we're kicking off, and we'll see how this one goes. We do see one guy go right off the bat. Really hits it hard. No one, immediately feels like they got to follow. It's not a super hard start for us per se. We do have Base Media go right to the front to control the race, and this is what I would love to have. I'd love to have people who are onesie twosies, not on teams, go off and attack, and have the big teams. And I do have one teammate here. Jason is back, and so Jason's in this one with me. So I have a teammate as well, which is great. And that's going to help me. But when you have at least 3 teams with multiple team members, what you'd love to and have sprinters in each of their teams, they would love to do a lead out for. What you'd love to see is them attack and counterattack each other, and the other ones have to bring them back and control the race and kind of wear themselves out. So that for me, I like to sprint as well. I would love for everyone to be together at the end and have some lead out trains, be able to jump on one of them and try to pip them at the line. So right away we had a guy attack who's not on a team, and you can see we got some race controlling going on by Base Media. So this is perfect. This guy's gonna be brought back right away. You can see him right there. He didn't really last long, but again, just a good way to start for me. This is exactly what I want. I just want to sit in, want to do as little work as possible, and again, going into the race, my goal was have it all be together at the end, or my hope. Not my goal. I wasn't going to be doing much to achieve this, but my hope would be that it's all together, and I can try to either attack from a minute out and win that way, or to outrun some trains if they're down to one guy at the end. It's really risky. really risky here specifically, and we'll get to this as we come around the start-finish line in a minute, but there was a strong headwind at the start-finish line today. And so I did go into this one really thinking, if they have some lead-out trains and we're all together, maybe what I could do is right when they get down to their last lead-out guy, and that guy kind of is on for a second, hit it hard. And maybe we're 45 seconds out from the finish line or something, and I can just try to outrun them. I have pretty good 1 minute power, I think. I hope going into it. So that was one strategy. The other one is just get on a lead-out train. And this lead on a lead-out train and just try to beat them at the line. And because there was a headwind, just knowing that there would be guys with a draft, the first strategy just wasn't going to work. So that was my hope going into the race, a couple days before, was maybe I go really early, right about here, right? Even before here, go early as we hit this corner and just attack and try to hold out to the line. But with the fact that we're in a pretty strong crosswind already, and then a heavy headwind as soon as we make this right-hand turn here, that strategy wasn't going to work. So once we were here the day of, the strategy that I was going to have to go with was, be on somebody's wheel. If we're all together, be on one of the strongest trains and try to beat him at the line. Which actually would work out well, because once that guy's sprinting, he's going to be eating up a bunch of wind, and then I should be able to go around him. So I was going to be okay with that strategy as well. But, all of that was under the expectation that this race would come back together no matter what, and we'd be going for a sprint finish. Any other strategy, kind of throw that. Any other thing happens in this race, throw that strategy out the window and just kind of see what happens. So, alright, so we're coming through back to the start-finish line here. We have some people off the front, it looks like, and I'm just sitting in the back again. What I'm watching for each of these breakaways is, are all of the other teams accounted for? So, if one base media guy goes off the front, that's fine, because the morning cranks, and then is it Infinite or Infinity? Is one of the teams in blue. Again, the team that won the M1 345 race. They'll chase. Or if it's them, then base media and morning cranks will chase. There would be enough guys, but as soon as all of those teams are accounted for in a breakaway, I have to be in that breakaway, or I gotta pull it back. And so far, it looks like we had one guy off the front and a morning cranks guy went to join it, and really that caused everyone to surge. And so now we're hitting it a little hard. We're going up the hills on this backside, and it's just going to come back together here. And as that group gets caught, what we're going to see is Jason, my teammate, he's going to go off the front, and everyone's going to let him go and open up a decent sized gap. He'll end up only staying away for 5 to 6 minutes or so. In that 5 or 6 minutes, I really just sit completely on the back and let everyone else, slowly catch up to him. So I'm doing no work, and we'll just cut ahead to when we catch him. Okay, so we've jumped ahead about a lap and a half, and so within the chase and trying to, again, like I said, Jason's off the front. As the chase happened, it ended up splitting this field up with some people trying to, maybe bridge up to Jason, or just start the attack early, knowing he's going to get caught. And so we actually have a little bit of a fragmented front here. I'm still sitting way in the back, not doing anything, really, again, with the expectation everything comes back together. I'm not really sure anything specific is driving that, except that quite a few of the sprinters are back here. And so, my assumption is everyone's going to be working for their sprinter. And so my hope here was that everything would come back. But like I said, things really do start to splinter, and there are some groups up there. And, I was worried about this team up here, again, that team that won M1 in the 3-4 race. And so when I saw them go, and there's sort of a group of people here that really pushed it to either bridge up with the fact that we were catching Jason and some others, either bridging up or kind of attacking since we got close, I decided to hammer and get on their wheel and have them carry me up to Jason, or kind of just go on that attack in general. So you can see we end up catching up to this group, and some people sit up. I think they were just happy to bridge back up. This guy kept going. There's Jason there, and so he's caught. But there was a group, like I said, it splintered, and some people had attacked early, and so he's working hard now to bridge up to them. He flicks his elbow. Again, I'm still working under the assumption that everything's going to come back together. I'm taking a free ride where I can get one at this point. It's still pretty early in the race. And so here's a case where I let this guy just do all of the work to get up to this group. Again, this just wasn't a spot where there was any reason for me to work. I don't think any of this is sticking. This is a group of people who are very, very strong. And so allowing them to get worn out throughout the race is great for me. So please, wear both of them out, so that they can't do anything later in the race. So I just stuck right back behind, not making any friends, but I want to make friends on Wednesdays, not really looking to make friends today. This is the big race. So, all right. So then we see another guy go. I wait for somebody else to do it. Jason's right behind me. I think he yelled at me to keep going, because I didn't follow that first guy. But somebody else is always looking to do the work. I play a lot of chicken in these races, and here's just another spot where I didn't go right when the first guy went, but this KLM rider came in, and he's gonna do the work to bridge now up to it. Now that there's a group off the front, and I'm just gonna take the easier ride in. So here, Jason then goes through, seeing that I'm not going to do any of the work. I feel bad that he ended up coming through now to do some of the polling. When I play chicken, it's to make other teams do the work for me, not necessarily to make my teammate do it. So a little unfortunate here, but he came through and he did a poll to now bring us up to this group. And so now we're making contact with that front group. And really, you can look now behind, and it's strung out, but everyone's pretty much back together. Again, and this is what I assumed would happen. I didn't want to do the work to bring it back together. I really didn't want Jason to do the work either, but I just assumed it was all going to come back together, and it really has here. So we'll jump ahead to the next set of action. Okay, so we've jumped ahead about 2 laps. We have 2 riders off the front. We have a base media rider as well as a solo rider, a rider without a team today. So right now, I'm not terribly worried about this, right? So certainly with base media being up there, that means they're out of sort of being the teams to control the race and push the pace to catch them. But there's still, ourselves, we Jason and I, will move up there. But we also have the morning cranks still. They'll want to bring this back along with the 11 cycling team. So that's that team out of Ann Arbor, which I also thought was called the Infinity team. I think Lucidity is one of their sponsors. I did just look it up. I should have done that before I started recording. So my apologies to them. But the 11 cycling team, they're also up here. They're still in. They'd want to bring this back. So kind of at this point, I'm really not worried. I'm up towards the front in case anything happens, but there's plenty of teams, and you see Jason move up to the front to help control that race and bring back the group. Tim Bober's also up there as to help bring it back at this point, and so we're doing exactly what we're supposed to in terms of closing up that gap and having the teams that have sprinters that they would want in at the end together. So feeling really comfortable. That is going to change. So you see Bober kind of move back, look back, and we see another rider kind of move towards the front. And I think I know where this is going kind of in this moment. And where it's going to go is we are going to see, you're going to kind of lose it here due to all the people. You're not going to quite be able to see it, but those 2 riders do end up splitting from the rest of this group. And they end up chasing down and closing the gap and bridging to the 2 riders out front. So the 2-rider breakaway becomes a 4-rider breakaway, and I think even more important than that is the fact that now you have 2 teams in that breakaway. So now you have both morning cranks, and you're going to have base media no longer be a part of trying to close the gap. They're going to sit in They might even try to disrupt the chase. They're not going to be a part of this, and so now it's going to be down to the 11 cycling team and ourselves, Keju, to try to close that gap and bring the breakaway back. So now I'm a little more nervous, and I was able to see Bober close that gap along with the other rider in real time. Here again, it's really hard to see it, and you do kind of lose that they're gone now. And so, I'm trying to decide what we're gonna do. What I want to see is what does that 11 cycling team do? How hard are they able to push, and are they able to bridge it back? Jason also is gonna do his work now to bring it back. So you see him go off the front, and here it really just pushes the pace. It says, hey, everyone, we gotta go. That's not the kind of pace it would be to bridge the gap himself, but now it kind of gets everybody going. I tuck in behind this 11 cycling rider, and now he's gonna do the majority of the pulling to try to bring them back. And he's, you can tell, you can't tell in my power, I think, but watching the way he's riding, I think he's really pushing himself to close this gap. And what you see, he's all over the place in terms of bike handling. I think he's trying to be really, really aero here, because this is a really strong headwind, but it also kind of causes him to bounce all around. And even in the moment, I remember going, oh god, I'm trying to stay on this guy's wheel as he kind of wobbles left and right. And so obviously that hurts his ability to chase, but it just speaks to the fact that there was a headwind. He really was trying to get aero and try to bridge back, bring our whole group back and bring his team back to the chase. So I'm just sitting in here. I'm not putting out a massive amount of watts. He just did this chase. We're a little separated, and what happens is I go to take just another pull. So you see my watts, they're not crazy. 330. I ramp back up probably into the 400s here, just right at high 300s even. And I realized that I create a gap. I actually throttled down to let the group catch up to me, and Jason yells, "No, go!" And so I hammer it and realize that it's just time for me, with that gap, with everyone tuckered out, that 11 cycling team, they had done a bunch of pulling, and I think they were really tired, that it was time to go and make sure I hammered it so no one could go with me and just bridge the gap alone. And so up this hill, I'm just going to kind of go and hit it. For a little bit I couldn't even see the group, so I didn't know how far ahead they were, but as I took this corner, I now see them. They weren't that far ahead, and so I feel really comfortable. I'm going to be able to easily bridge this. I bring the watts down. I wasn't super tired, but I clearly, I didn't know. I just didn't need to go that hard at that point. I was clearly going to catch up to them, and so I brought it back up, and then I'm just going to try to slot right into this. One thing I thought I probably could have done in hindsight is actually pushed through this group and sped them up, because I did have the speed, and it wouldn't have been that much extra work for me to hold that for another 30 seconds to push through them, get them to catch on, and really help them in terms of creating that gap, because it did not take me very long to bridge, and so it wouldn't take very long for someone else to bridge either. And so one thing to do is, if you're going to bridge, I've heard this before, is kind of push through the group that you're bridging to and let them latch on, and then rotate off. I just got onto the back guy and then sat on and recovered, and so I'm not really going to take any pulls here. I just want to recover from my bridging attempt, and so we're going to see that here. And I'm usually pretty blunt about the fact that I try to do as little work as possible, and so as I kind of say here, I'm not, this first lap I'm not looking to really do any pulls, and I want to recover. I'm in the breakaway. I want to do pulls. I want to keep the breakaway away. I did the effort to bridge up to it. So this is an example of a place where, okay, now I want to help out. I want to do some pulls. I do want to take this first lap and try to recover. It's probably not. Again, what I really should have done is pulled right away. I was already putting out the effort. That should have been my first pull, and then I could have taken a whole lap off to recover. So it's a little shitty, probably, that I didn't do that, and then I still wanted a whole lap to recover, and we'll see if I take that long or not. But that was my thinking. Is this first lap, I'm entitled, which sounds ridiculous, but I'm entitled not to really do much here as I recover, and then knowing there's still multiple laps left, I will definitely do the work and try to help to then, here he throws his elbow. I do a pull, and so it's not like I'm absolutely not doing any pull. I'm just not looking to do a ton of work, and so you'll see this isn't a super long pull. That's all it was. Now I'm off to the side, so maybe it was 5 seconds. But again, it should keep the pace going. It should keep everyone going, and that's what I was trying to do. I don't want to disrupt it 100%. I want this to stay away, and so there, at least stay in the rotation and do a very short pull as I still try to recover. There was, what we saw through that start-finish line is we saw one rider once again attack. He was a guy who I think attacked multiple times throughout this ride. He was the guy who went originally with Noah from Base Media. Yeah, he was there, putting in attacks to try to win this thing. So absolutely great by him. We ended up, quickly catching him with 4 guys. But good for him. And that helps us push our pace to catch him, and keeps everything going. Here there's some yelling about, pull through, do the work. Again, I'm trying to recover. It was Bober that said, no, this is a race. We're here to win. So we don't. If I don't want to take a pull, I won't take a pull. It might mean we lose, but I don't have to do shit. So I appreciated him, especially because I was the guy trying not to do a ton of pulling this lap. So I thought it was just funny dynamics. Some guys yelling to pull through, and another one's just being very clear that you don't have to do anything. Everyone has their own prerogative and their own strategy, and you can yell at us, but it doesn't mean we're going to listen to you. So there, Noah, flicks his elbow, and so I go once again on the front, take another pull here. Not gonna look to do a ton of work. You can see I just finally hit the 300s. That's below threshold for me. I think it's 340. So it didn't even. There we go. Now we're above threshold. So I'm taking a pull. So even I said I wanted to skip pulling the first lap. I still took the pulls. I kept the rotation going. They were short. They were definitely short pulls, but I did some of my own work. And here somebody's off the 2 people are off the back or so, and so I'm I slot back in, and just trying to keep the cohesion and keep this going, because I feel really good. And so I guess it's a good time to kind of talk about the composition of the group. What I was worried about in terms, I'm a sprinter, is kind of the thing I most excel at, I guess. I'm certainly not the best sprinter around, but that's sort of the thing that I'm the best at. And so going into this, I'm thinking that this race could all end up together, a one bunch sprint, and you have some really good sprinters. Kyle, again from Base Media, can just sweep the floor with me 7 or 9 out of 10 times. Aaron Savona, great sprinter too. He's beaten me multiple times. Those guys aren't here. So I'm now in the breakaway. I don't know a couple of the guys, but none of them the ones that I do know are sprinters that are people I've beaten in sprints or just aren't sprinters. And the other 2 guys I don't know, but I feel good. I feel confident with if this is the group at the end, I probably can win the sprint. And so I want this to stay away, right? If it comes back, if everyone, if all those other guys, those sprinters who I know have beaten me before, catch us, now it's a very unlikely chance that I win this thing. So I'm definitely here to play ball. I'm definitely here to help out, and I want this thing to stay away. So through the breakaway, it did feel like there was pretty good cohesion in terms of having a rotation and everyone kind of taking a pull. And so, I was feeling good about this, and like I said, I was taking some short pulls to begin with, and looking to take some more meaty pulls here in the last couple of laps. And so, I'm gonna let the next minute or so play with audio, just for some of the conversation that happens here, and I apologize for my language in the moment. So I'll let it roll here. Podium, baby. Oh, you're in first. Okay, so what we heard there was it was first, I'm encouraging Noah, let's keep it going. You're doing great, and he pretty much said, I'm out, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. He was one of the first ones to go in the break, and probably did a lot of work. But I'm trying to encourage him. Hey, you're in first right now, and he's like, no, I'm done. I teased him. Well, we'll see at the end, right? If all of a sudden you pit me at the line, I'm gonna call BS on you. And then he rotated off, and I rotated through, and I didn't push hard. I mean, you could see the numbers there. They're about 300. Really not a hard pace, and no one followed me. It created a big gap, so I started yelling at them. Like, do not quit now. Probably didn't use the politically correct phrases, and I could have used some different language there in terms of encouragement. But I bridged up to this group. I want them to stay. I'm willing to put in the effort, but you need to too. So let's stay together. Let's push, and let's win this thing. This is the final lap now, right? We're only we were a lap and a half away at the time. Like, we cannot quit now. We have a 15-second gap. Like, let's go. Let's push it. So here I am. Started the final lap. I'm still doing a pole here. I'm okay here, polling, but I'm gonna quit here at some point, right? So I'm okay doing the middle laps of this breakaway. Wanted some time to recover early. Do some stuff in the middle, but now I'm more or less done. And so no one wanted to go around me originally. You saw me kind of go back and forth to get some people to go in front of me, because now it's kind of a little bit of a game of chicken, and no one really wants to expend a bunch of effort pulling the group around to the finish line. But and I'm gonna play that game of chicken. Now, what I'm doing throughout this whole backstretch is looking behind me. Can I see the group? Are they chasing us? If they're not, if they're getting close, I either have to make the decision to bail and drop back and conserve all of my energy to get back into the group and then still win the sprint, or decide, hey, can I hold them off solo and just hammer it? So I'm really, throughout this whole thing, I'm looking backwards and trying to gauge, is that group going to catch us? Do I see them? They ended up actually being able to see us on this hill on the back, not quite here, but I think after we take this turn, and it's kind of that back straight, kind of straight away back hill, they said they could see us. I never was able to see them, so I actually started feeling really confident throughout this back stretch. But I'm done. I'm not looking to do any work at this point. We are half a lap to go in this race, and I want to win. So we have a guy off the front. He's leading us in. We're not going super hard here. He's gonna flick his elbow here at some point to get us to pull around. Again, I'm looking backwards. I'm not seeing the rest of the field, so I'm not going to do a pull. It's just that's kind of the time that we're at now. And so I come here. I come to his right in case anybody attacks here. I could have an easy exit to follow them. And yeah, so he flicked his elbow, and I just said, sorry, bud, which is kind of my response usually at this point in a race if somebody wants me to do work. There's just no reason. They're not behind us. We had 15 seconds at one point. I think it gets down to about 10 seconds. But they're not going to catch us. So we're coming into the final two turns, and now it's just time to go. It's time to react to anybody who goes early or just get ready for that final sprint. So we take the first right-hand turn. Again, I want to be on his right side in case anybody attacks. And here we go. We see the attack come, and I go to follow him, and I feel really good. He's a small guy. I'm thinking in my head, I can leave the gap a little bit here so that I can sprint him really right at the final finish line. What I didn't take into account is that it is a heavy headwind, and I'm big and he's little, and so it really is going to be extra effort for me to pass him. I really want to be in first by this tree. I still have quite a bit of distance to go, so now it's time to go. I'm hitting it as hard as I really can with this headwind. I feel like I'm a sail. I'm getting so close to him, and here, with about 20 meters to go, I do pass him. I ended up taking, it probably wasn't even 20 meters. Ended up passing him right before the finish line. Took first, won the race, won the Michigan State Championship for Cat 3. Let out a little bit of a scream. Definitely was not the time to sprint where I could post up and celebrate before I crossed the finish line. It was a tight race. He absolutely made me give everything I could there to catch him. Again, he's so little, cutting through that wind. I felt like a sail, absolutely, and I couldn't get up to the sort of wattage I would have expected for that, having to attack a little earlier. Uh, Fun race, uh, awesome race. It was cool to get a bridge up to that front group. Keep that breakaway together, and winning the sprint finish out of the breakaway. Exactly what I wanted there at the end. So awesome race. Great to win the Cat 3 state championship. Great to win our home race, and great to win the last race of the year in Michigan. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for any and all of the videos that you've watched this year. First year of racing, and it's been amazing. I can't wait to get back to training, get better, and do it all again next summer. It's been awesome. So have a thank you. Just thank you everyone, and I'll see you at the next race. I think we got a couple more videos to process, so I'll see you at the next race.
Yeah. Harder than the 45.